Hello and welcome to the Salt City Gamescast. This is episode 162.
Are we sure?
162. The last proper Gamescast was the Hades 2 one. I'm not counting the Halloween specials. See,
Yeah.
they don't raise the number.
Mm-mm.
So we are 162. My name's Nick Naylor. Sitting across from me is Jared.
Hey, what's up?
It's feeling good.
Are you? Are you? Because I don't know if I am.
Yeah, I was feeling tired. But when you have a couple kids, usually you're just like, I'm tired. And then a lot of times what happens is that they go to bed.
Yeah.
And 2 hours before they go to bed, you're like, I'm going straight to bed. Absolutely. As soon as they go to bed, and then they go to bed and you're like, what are we doing? What are we doing now? Like, let's fucking we can do anything.
Let's live our normal lives.
Basically, because you finally have a window of opportunity where you can do anything.
Yeah.
And then, so then you go stay up till like 11 o'clock. And then the next day you're like, what was I doing?
Yeah.
Why did I do that?
That was a mistake. Yeah, I'm feeling tired. I mean, I'm not going to compare your plight to my plight, but I did fly across the country yesterday, and there's just something about that I don't know. You're not doing anything physically besides running around an airport, or multiple in my case. But yeah, flew from Philly to Salt Lake City last night. Got in at about like 9:30 last night. So
that's pretty late.
Yeah,
that's just.
I left. Day. Yeah, I left Philly at 1 Eastern time.
And
got here at 9:30.
Oh, well, that's bad time, Jared.
Yeah.
That's a
4-hour flight from Philly to Denver. And then I had a little bit of a layover in Denver. So not ideal.
Yeah, that sucks shit.
Mm-hmm.
But once you have the layover, it just really wrecks everything. We try really hard to not ever fly anywhere that would have a layover. Like,
yeah.
Don't want a vacation there. Not worth it.
I will say, new airport on the list. Never been to Philly before until this trip. And I will rate Philly's airport a C-.
Oh no!
Very easy to navigate, super easy from like getting to like through security to your gate, like very easy. But like they have no amenities.
Nothing there.
There's like in the terminal I was in, there was literally 2 restaurants and like a good amount of people. Right.
One of them's a Cinnabon.
Well, no, there's like maybe 2 like. I'm talking about like sit down restaurants.
Just sit down Cinnabon.
Yeah,
I don't know what they do back there.
Sit down Cinnabon.
Fucking dope. Bring it out.
Yeah,
heat it up.
Yeah. They serve you a cocktail at Cinnabon. I did not see that. However, if I did, I probably would have partook.
I would fuck with a sit down Cinnabon.
Yeah, but just. It's a pretty old airport too. Not super modern or nice when you compare it to like Salt Lake City or DIA for that matter, depending on where you're at in DIA.
Well, we're looking pretty good these days out in Salt Lake. So
I know our mayor comes over the intercom and talks about how it's the greatest airport since sliced bread. And it's like, do you realize how far I have to walk, Aaron Mendenhall? Like fucking maybe tone it down a notch. I do like.
Why don't you start fly out of the A gates? You know,
because I got to fly United to get to a lot of my places, and those are all B gates. Mm-hmm. So it's a pain in the ass.
So the new tunnel's open. That helps.
It's still a fucking trudge, dude. Yes, It does help. It does help. But the problem is most of the time I'm always dropped off at gates over by the old tunnel. So it's just like, and that old tunnel's still open. So it's just
they blow it up.
No. So it's just like, do I just go down the old tunnel because I'm right next to it? Or do I walk the entire length of the fucking B terminal to get to the entrance to the A? And usually that's what I do, because it's like once you get through that long ass tunnel, it spits you out right at the entrance or the exit, I guess. It just is not great. They need it's almost not big enough for like a tram, but I feel like they need a tram.
Well, the plan is
to put a tram in, right?
Yeah, but the long-term plan is to have a whole new hub that is on that east side.
Yeah.
So you literally, if you're leaving, you park at the right spot. Right? You're parking on the far west or you park on the far east. And then you only have to do the connector like with layover type deals where you're doing connecting flights. So you should just park where you need to. Although I guess you could still get fucked maybe coming home and they drop you off the wrong one. But I think they do that. But
that's literally going to be 15 years from now before that is all realized.
yeah, probably.
Yeah,
probably it's gonna be. Yeah, I don't fly a lot, so that's fine.
I fly too much. I am literally at for 2025, and that's not counting Delta flights. But I usually fly United. I'm at over 75 flights for the year.
Goddamn.
Yeah.
That's no joke.
Yeah.
Getting your status up there.
Oh yeah. I'm gold. I'm pushing for whatever their platinum equivalent is.
Oh, that's something they'll like are you getting upgrade ever?
Oh yeah, I get first class all the time.
Oh. Well, that helps. It's nice. It's not nice. I feel like they've lowered the bar a little bit on first class, but it's fine. Like
yeah, it's really not that great.
Yeah. I feel like it's just not. And maybe I was just younger, but like the last time I was in first class, I was just like, oh, this isn't like it's fine.
If you're flying like my flight yesterday, Philly to Denver, that's a 4.5 hour flight. Yeah. Sign me up.
Well, it's more comfortable.
100%.
It's not close, so
and get that sparkling wine as well, and free drink like beer and shit like that, whatever you want.
For sure. We got a shitload of whiskey in front of us, Jared. What is happening?
So what's happening is you kindly gave me a very fast drive that is extraordinarily expensive for free. And you basically said, hey, just get me a bottle at or under $100 on your travels. And so I kind of have been scoping out different places in Colorado Springs where I've been going. And one of the listeners lives in Colorado Springs and told me about this place called Powers. I believe that's the name of it. And so I went and checked it out. Thanks for the recommendation, by the way. I don't think I thanked you. But
like,
yes.
Like a liquor store.
Yeah, it's a liquor store. Yeah. And I went in there like 2 trips ago and talked to like the dude. I don't know if he was the owner, but like the dude at the counter. And I was like, I'm looking for something, like something that's a little bit more special. And he was like, well, in a couple of weeks, we get like a big shipment of Redwood Empire, like limited releases. And so I was like, okay. I had this before. So I went back and took a suitcase and brought a bunch of booze back. And to give you like a little rundown of what Redwood Empire is, their background, they are from wine country in California, Sonoma County.
It's pretty cool.
I first had these guys when I was in Palm Springs. That's when I first became aware of them. They've kind of built up a pretty storied reputation within the whiskey community. They don't source, so this is all their own distillate that they produce. They blend. They might still have some releases that blend in some barrels of like MGP or whatever, but as far as I understand, all of their newer releases are all their own distillate. And yeah, kind of an interesting thing. They're obviously from California and like NorCal, and their kind of branding is centered around the redwood forest. So on all of these bottles, the names of the bottles are actually big giant redwood trees, like famous redwood trees. So all of their releases, every single name is a tree that is like historic, 300 or 400 years old. And
I run out of trees.
Have you ever been to the redwood forest?
Yeah, but like they don't name them all unless these guys are out there fucking bolting up names to them.
No, these are like the most famous trees. Like they're really, really like the biggest, tallest trees. Like if you look on these bottles, like this one in particular is called, that we're having right now, is the Foggy Burl. It's a single malt whiskey, so it's not a bourbon or a rye. It's just a single malt American style whiskey. And
which is like not something we have on this show.
Not like super common, no.
Really.
And the Foggy Burl is a 350-foot, 2,000-year-old tree.
Jesus Christ.
So, yeah, pretty cool from that perspective. They're also like they like plant a tree for every bottle they sell and all that shit. But I really like it. I don't know. I haven't tried this one. So these are all limited releases from them. And I've heard nothing but good things about the one over there.
So just so I may understand, like, will they have a Devil's Tower that comes out next year?
I don't know.
You don't know if that's how they're.
I don't know if these are just like one-offs or.
That's why I said they're gonna run out of trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or if they're going to continually release these every single year. I'm not sure. I didn't really ask a lot. I just knew because I have a couple of bottles of like their regular releases at my place that I bought in Palm Springs after I tried them at a bar, and really liked it and think they're great whiskeys. And so yeah, we'll have to kind of sample through. First impressions of this guy.
I have
Very
no complaints with it.
very different than a lot of like bourbons. You know, it's not as kind of punchy. It's just kind of a very light, easy sipping.
Like that bourbon,
whiskey.
like that bourbon hug, like that. You don't feel that
The
warmth.
Kentucky hug.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's just not a super aggressive flavor profile. I think it's good. But it's not like, again, like punch you in the face. And that makes sense. I mean, it's a 47%, 94 proof. So it's a little bit lighter on the ABV.
I think I agree. It's not doing anything wrong though.
No, I think it's good.
It's a pretty nice, easy drink.
Yeah, I should say all of these are at or under $100. I think this guy, it was $100. This guy is like 95, and then this guy was also $100. So
okay.
So yeah, we'll work our way through them and relay which ones we like the most.
Try to decide as we go through this thing. I'm back to making. I mean, I've been making cocktails all summer, but I'm back to kind of chasing the new recipes a little bit. But anyway, I did something really dumb. I make a lot of cocktails. People come over, and it just generally, it's just so common once you start to get into it. Like cocktails are, a lot of them are a 2-ounce base, right? 2 ounces of booze is extremely common in a lot of recipes. And so I was friends over, family over actually, and was making when I was almost out of bourbon. And I was like, I hope I have enough. And I needed 2 ounces. I had exactly enough. And this is just an example of me being a moron, right? And I was like, wow, what are the odds? And then I thought about it and thought about what I used the bottle for, which is 2-ounce pours measured out every time. And then I was like, pretty good odds, actually. Pretty exact odds, actually. Makes perfect fucking sense that I had exactly 2 ounces left in this bottle.
I think this would indicate that you're not an idiot and more of just like a very precise person. This is not a scenario that ever exists in my world.
It's why I can do certain recipes, cooking certain things, because I can follow a fucking directions, and I do it. Like I haven't free poured a cocktail for quite some time. I just don't really do that.
Yeah.
And I
gotta live a little, man.
Our friend, it depends what it is. I can make an old fashioned free pour, but whatever. But our friend was over for Halloween. He brought his kids over, and I had made this apple cider old fashioned, which I think is pretty good and a little dangerous, but it's got a number of ingredients. And I was doing kid stuff. He's like, I have another one. I'm like, yeah, but I'm just gonna send you the recipe. I sent it to him, and I walked in the kitchen, and I just saw him just like fucking free pouring over there. And my brain, my heart, I'm just like, what are you doing? You're never gonna get it right. There's cider. You're gonna fuck it up. You're gonna fuck it up. You can't. No,
you don't need to get it right.
Yeah, you did.
You don't.
These things that they need to. They have complexity. If you mess it up, it's like, well, this doesn't feel balanced. Like there's a balance to these things. Some cocktails, the balance doesn't matter. I will say that. Like there are, you can make some things where there's a pretty wide range for error. But if you're bringing like different flavor notes and things into this, then I'm like, well, you can't just fuck it up. Like you can't just, like what I made today for us is like an Irish coffee. If you put double the amount of amaretto in here, like that's gonna have an impact. You're gonna be like, "Well, this thing's amaretto hot."
Yeah, I'll concede that there are certain like ingredients that you're going to put into a cocktail that are going to overwhelm all of the ingredients, right? Other ingredients. I would argue that if the booze, like your main booze, your core booze, overwhelms the other ingredients, it's not the worst thing in the world.
No, sometimes you're like, well, this is just a win. Well, it's totally fine. And I'll say I measure out the margaritas I've been making, but you could also just like throw that at the wall and pretty much you're gonna be fine. for most margaritas.
I'm going to throw this out here. I am not the biggest fan of this guy. I think that this is like training wheels, my first whiskey experience.
What I was going to tell you is that it's a nice bottle to show someone that's like, hey, this is a pretty good whiskey. Someone that's not ready for something that's really gonna hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like this is a nice bottle that's above like borderline, like it's not a $50 bottle, but it's not doing anything special. Like on the it's gonna be a hard one to pull off the shelf. Maybe it's an everyday.
So this is the one you're gonna pick, right? You want it?
Hey, listen. Maybe these ones are worse. We don't know.
Yeah. We'll find out.
Anything could happen. We'll slowly work through these as we talk about some games. We got quite a few, and I'm having a good time. I'm having a good time playing games. I was thinking about it. Like I've had a good time this year playing games. Like when I look at the list, I'm just like, it's a pretty good list.
I don't think it's as strong as last year. I think that there is enough quality releases that we can still do a 10 list of our best. But when I compare some of the experiences from last year to this year, there are a handful that maybe could contend or compete with those upper echelon games from last year. But then when I'm kind of like, we're getting close to that point as well. We only got like a month and some change. When I think about some of the games that are probably going to be on the lower rung of the list this year, I'm like, they wouldn't have cracked last year's list at all.
You know, we do some extra episodes around the holidays to give us a little time off.
Yeah.
And maybe after they do that game of the year, we record a short little thing of us trying to dabble and combine them. You take those 2 years and be like, well, where do they fall? Did any literally?
We've done that before when we get games of the year.
I'm just saying, like the last two, like because you just said, hey, this year's not as it doesn't stack to last year. It'd be interesting to actually put them side by side after we've made the list and say, does it? Like, whoa, because I actually don't really know. There's a couple this year that, I mean, Silk Song will for me. That's a no-brainer. But I've got a couple.
Yeah, I got a handful as well. For
100 line would be there, but not.
Don't spoil it. Let's wait, Nick.
Everyone knows the games that I have thoroughly enjoyed this year. But we've got a number of games to talk about. The Outer Worlds 2 is out. That is Obsidian.
Yep.
I don't understand how they pump out as many games as they do, but that is what it is. I was pretty excited about this. Unfortunately, I knew I wouldn't have time to play enough of this. The same with the last one, but I appreciate it and I can respect it as that. What they did with the first Outer Worlds and what I played of Outer Worlds 2 is just like, this is what I wish Bethesda was doing with the Fallout series, because I play it and I'm just like, well, this is just good Fallout. This is just like everything I hate about what they do with the current Fallouts, and like this is just a good one of those. So it's pretty fucking good. But you've been playing quite a bit of it. Where do you want to start? What do you want to do?
Yeah. Just to kind of touch on what you just talked about. I mean, I believe at this point in time, Obsidian has multiple teams.
For sure, well, they have to.
And so, and I did not love Avowed. I didn't hate Avowed, but if you go back and talk about or listen to what we said about there was a lot of negatives that I had about that thing.
Avowed made a really good first impression. Like, it was an interesting thing as a first impression.
Sure.
Hearing from you and be like, well, yeah, he just doesn't keep.
Yeah, I think these games kind of live and die on decision making and how many consequential decisions there are in a run of a video game like this, right?
Which one did you use for?
This guy right here. This one's the Devil's Tower, which is another tree in the Redwood Forest, and this is a high rye bourbon. Which is another kind of bourbon that we don't really have a lot of on this show, so we'll see how it is. Anyways, yeah, I think these games live and die on the big picture decisions. And, I grew up in an era of like Knights of the Old Republic, the classic BioWare titles that kind of really revolutionized this kind of genre in a lot of ways. And, obviously Obsidian made a name for themselves with New Vegas, and I think that in my opinion, you'll probably disagree with me. I think that's the best Fallout game. And I to be fair, I never played like their original PC games, but
I think it's a foolish attempt to say to even compare Fallout 1 and 2 to from 3 on. I don't, that exercise to me doesn't make any sense. Obviously I love those older ones, but they're just not.
They're different.
It's not a good comparison point. New Vegas is the best of the 3D of the fully new ones,
hands down.
made. Yeah, and
I think it's the best 3D Bethesda game. I would even say that, like, I think that maybe people would be like, it's Skyrim, but I think that the choices and the writing and
it's not a Bethesda game though.
What?
Well, New Vegas is not.
Well, it was Bethesda published, is what I'm saying. Right?
It doesn't count though, right? Like,
okay.
But it doesn't count. Like,
yeah,
the games Bethesda makes is not like they didn't make the best Fallout game.
True,
They
that's true.
They straight up didn't.
That's true.
They brought in Obsidian, who has a track record that those fuckers made a really good, nice little Republic as well.
But it's impossible to kind of separate them as well. Like,
Sure.
You're gonna lump in New Vegas with 3 and 4 and all of those. That's my point, right?
Sure.
And I just think that game is fantastic from front to back. I mean, there's still like a rabid community for that game now, today. And that just kind of is a testament to how strong a lot of that stuff is. So, when you got a developer with that pedigree that's coming in and making these types of games, you expect a lot. And I was a huge fan of the original Outer Worlds. I really liked everything about it. I loved the writing. Big fan of the gunplay, even though the gunplay needed a lot of work, it was still pretty fun. And the things that they did in the short runtime of that game, I thought were really effective. My only huge criticism of it was that it was incredibly short, and it felt like you were just getting off of the ground and the game ended.
Because I played the first planet, and I think that's half the game.
Yeah, there's 2 planets. There's 2 major planets. And to be fair, they're big planets, they're big areas. But I was just so into it, and then it just ends, and it's just super abrupt in the way that it ends. And so that would be my only big criticism. And then Avowed kind of followed the same kind of blueprint, where it's not a super long game, and in that case I was kind of happy when it ended because I just wasn't a huge fan. But the same issue. So coming into Outer Worlds 2, I was like really worried because I had seen some really good reviews, and then I had saw some people that were like, this just isn't it, right? And I think that this is how you do a sequel. I think across the board, this game is the better game when you compare it to the first game. And in every single category, they have upped the ante. The game is well, I don't want to say extraordinary long, but it's pretty long. I mean, I'm 50 hours in right now.
It's a beefy game if you want it to be.
Yes.
Which is
like I've seen,
you don't have to do everything, but if you're going to be looking everywhere, it's pretty long, because I'm pretty sure you can finish it in 40 or something.
30 hours. Yeah. You can finish it very quickly if you mainline the story.
I don't know what sort of weirdo plays these games for that. Like that fundamentally kind of breaks my brain, because it's like, well, like that's like the worst part, question mark. Like, I don't understand. Like, you want to do all of the stupid shit, all of it.
And there's a lot here. So
fuck with people's lives.
They literally have 2 more planets. So there's 4 main planets now total. And then on top of that,
well, 2 more. You go back to some of.
No. It's the same. It's different planets. But I'm just saying, like in the first game, there was 2 main planets, and in Outer Worlds 2, there are 4 planets.
Oh, so it's just doubled. Got it.
Doubled, correct. And then on top of that, there are like a handful of ancillary areas that you can go to as well, that there are things to do in. So
kind of like one-off little things.
Yeah, they're not huge environments or anything like that. They're very cool environments, but they're not huge. Just a little pause here. This thing is fantastic. This is absolutely fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's got a lot going on. Like immediately, this thing is makes that other one feel really flat.
Yeah, you're gonna pick that one, and I'm gonna buy another bottle of it if I can find it
That was
because
good.
it's that good.
I wanted to buy another bottle of the Shanks that
Yeah.
you took from here because I was like, I kind of want that on the shelf too.
This thing is really, really nice. I think that this is
Yeah.
going to appeal to your wife quite a bit because she likes ryes, doesn't she?
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't know what a high rye bourbon is.
It's just like
Maybe,
the mash bill when like the ingredients are going into the still. It's a very high percentage of rye, but still meets the thresholds of bourbon.
so it's
It's a high rye bourbon,
like
high percentage of rye.
playing both sides a little bit. So yeah,
Correct.
Absolutely. So Annie really might like
This fucking thing is
I
fantastic.
think it's really good. It's got a lot of. It's just got a good body.
Yes.
Big fan. Big fan.
Yeah, it's a little sweet, and then you get a little bit of that spice from the rye. So anyways, going back to what we were talking about, the areas. So I'm on the third planet. I've done everything on the first two planets, and then a little bit of like the ancillary stuff in those like smaller areas that I just described. I'm 50 hours in, and I have a full planet. Like I just barely started the third planet. So I have a full planet and then another one to go.
I mean 90, 80. So
Probably around there. And what I'll say about the experience, just the gameplay, you know, what I'm looking for in these games is a lot of consequential decisions. That is here in spades, right? Maybe not as high of a degree of like consequence for a lot of there are some like big picture decisions that you can make that can fundamentally shift your playthrough. But there is a lot of very small kind of granular decisions that change certain things about the game. And it might not be huge sweeping changes, but like there is a lot of like reward to finishing out a quest. Like for instance, I saved this guy early on in the game, and then just this today when I was playing, I ran into him again on this other planet, and he was like, "Oh, I know you," and it's like, "Yeah, motherfucker, I saved your ass."
The thing about the decisions is it doesn't have to be like all your decisions don't have to be impacting like the main storyline.
Yeah.
That's at least for me. That's not what I got out of all of the Fallouts. It's that you want to be able to walk into an environment, like we'll say a town, and you want to be able to impact that town. So when you walk out of that town, you've changed it. And all Fallout 1 and 2 had it. Fallout 3 had it in the hilarious way that I mentioned before, that you meet like that. There's a town that's like the Nation of Dave, and it's just this dude named Dave that runs like 12 people.
Right.
And then you like,
is that why your dog's named Dave?
No, it is not, but it should be. But then like there's an option to, and I did this when I played Fallout 3, you overthrow him, and then it's Nation of Susan because you like support Susan.
Right.
And it's very funny. It's fucking hilarious. And it comes up, and the original Fallouts had that in spades. And that was always fantastic. And it was not impacting the final. You always had to go and the Enclave and deal with the Enclave, and those things weren't like messing with it, but you were just like, this is awesome though. That town is like never gonna be right. That town over there, I married that dude's daughter, and he's so mad about it. Like, and that shit's always really you just feel like you're role playing a little bit within it, and it's a good time.
Yeah. So not to give away like too many spoilers, but the first half of the game, you're kind of chasing this one person, right, across multiple systems.
Is that the big bad lady?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Sure.
So you're chasing her because she betrays you at the very beginning of the game. And there are a couple of crew members that have kind of connection to her and understand her motivations. One in particular that is with you at the very beginning of the game. His name is Niles. He's a pretty cool character. But there is maybe, I mean, I haven't finished it, but I would assume like midpoint of the game where you finally confront her, right? And there's this big cataclysmic event. And which is weird, but because I used to always be an asshole, but I usually play like a nicer guy in games now.
You know, almost everyone does.
Yeah.
I've read some articles that is really hard for people to double down and play the asshole. I always play generally the good soul.
Yeah. And
then I always restart the game. And then I'm like, I'm going to play the asshole.
Yeah.
And I did that with KOTOR, and I never finished it. I did it with KOTOR 2. I never finished it. I did Redwood Empire. And I've never finished like an asshole run because I think I'm just like I'm not the only one because like the stats show it too. But like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you're just like people look at it, they're not cut out for that shit.
Right. Yeah. It's very hard for me to do it anymore. But
Occasionally, I like to give a reason to.
Sure.
So like I like when you're playing the game and you're like, yeah, no, I'm generally a good person, but that dude pissed me off.
yeah.
And I absolutely murdered the shit out of him. And maybe it's great. Like that stuff's fun when you get to do it.
Well, absolutely, and that's kind of a sign of a very effective game
For sure.
When the
Make it
writing is like, yeah, you've got gray area when it comes to some characters and how you interact with them. But yeah, so typically I choose like if there is like an option for a backstory, like right at the beginning of these types of games, I'll usually choose like a seedier background, and which I did on this one. So I'm a renegade background, but I'm also a genius renegade, and and so like I am like not gun shy at all. My character's makeup or background is not gun shy at all. But then there's something interesting about choosing to not be that guy that I find interesting, right? It's like fighting your past and like reforming. We're getting into like some role play shit that we don't typically talk about, but like
it's the Robert Downey arc.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like
yeah, for sure. The Tim Allen arc. Well, maybe that's a bad one.
It's backwards. That works the wrong way.
But yeah, so going back to what I was saying about this kind of like big story event, you can just choose to, the whole buildup is like, we're going to get her, we're going to go kill her.
Sure.
And I got there and I let her live.
Oh,
and
did she join your party?
No.
Okay.
Not yet, at least. And I've got all the party members. So unless they are hiding a slot, I think that I've got them all.
You think it's done.
But yeah, Niles was not fucking happy about that. But he was super pissed. And I think that if I remember correctly, there was an option to just like cut ties with Niles and be like, look, if you don't like what I'm doing, you can go your own way. But I invested enough into speech to talk him off the ledge, and he agreed to stay with me. But now I am just slowly kind of easing the tension with him, like in subsequent conversations. And that's what I'm looking for in a game like this.
That's the good shit.
Yes.
That bringing them back into the fold is kind of new. I was going to mention that you can make decisions in like the original KOTOR and Karth, who's a fucking dweeb.
Agreed.
But he can get mad and like run off into the desert and leave. I don't think there was an option to be like, hey, come back.
Yes.
Because everyone that played the game was like,
fuck
run
you, Karth.
Faster, Karth. Pump those arms.
Go fall into the Sarlacc pit, you dipshit.
Such a douche.
No. It's great from that perspective. And I've really enjoyed the writing. Just to touch on the characters, I think that it's done a good job because there's some characters that I really like. Where in Avowed, like outside of Kai, I believe the weird fish man, the gay fish man, I liked him.
I didn't even like him.
But outside of him, I hated everyone else. Like, well, there was the dog lady that wanted to fuck everything that was okay. But I don't know. That's the best way I can describe her. She looked like a dog lady.
Yeah, absolutely.
But outside of that, I thought they sucked. And I think they were pretty one note and not super dynamic or interesting. Here, there are characters that I absolutely hate. One in particular that I hate called Tristan, and he's horrible. But he's got some really interesting story beats. And there's been multiple times because he just bitches whenever you have him in your party. He just complains about things that you're doing. And he's just like, this is untenable. I wouldn't do this, Commander, but I'll stick with you because I agree.
Fucking whiner.
Yeah, he's a whiner, but he's a melee bruiser and he's really effective at combat. So he's good in combat. So he's got some redeemable qualities. But because of like the bad faction, there really is no good factions in this game, I will say. Like all
that's by design, right?
Yeah, of course. Like all of them are, late extreme levels of late capitalism, and they're all just morally bankrupt. But his faction that he's a part of is probably the worst. But I keep him in the party occasionally just because I'm interested enough to see, like, I have a feeling he's gonna he's gonna betray me at some point, and I kind of want to keep him around just for that, so I can kick his ass. But yeah, really good characters. The backstories are interesting. There's one character outside of Tristan that I just don't really buy into her story, and she's kind of annoying, but she's really good in combat as well, and is like a medic, so she heals you and things like that. So I keep her around as well. But I will say that at any point during the game, you can just tell them to leave. Like, I don't want you anymore.
Fuck off. Yeah.
Yes. And it would be really cool if I haven't tested this out, but I would assume that if you kick people out, they maybe are going to come back in some capacity later down the line. I'd be a little disappointed if that wasn't the case, but
I'd be surprised if it was, but that sounds like a great feature.
Given Obsidian, well, the reason why I say that is every character in this game has significant stakes in
like a hook, like
in the main story.
Yeah,
they're a big part of the main story, and they've got different motivations depending on what faction they're associated with. So that's why I say I would be surprised if they don't show up in some capacity. If you do send them on their way,
they're not gonna just fuck off to Cabo.
I don't think so. But that's not the way I play these games. So I'm going to keep them around forever. But I really like the writing and the story. I think that, the same kind of things that they did really effectively with like this really late stage end capitalism dynamic. I think it works here in maybe even more strong ways, because in the story, like there were two factions in the first game, Spacer's Choice and Anti's. Now they're just one major conglomerate, and so just layering on.
That's a fucking great idea they had. They pretty much kill it, and I only played through like the initial tutorial, and then just saw a little bit of that. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, man, these guys and narrative and kind of social commentary, it's very funny, and I think it's somewhat applies to just the direction. I mean, it's an exaggerated, but you're just like, this is where it all goes, right? Like this is the end game capitalism shit. And it's just super funny. What's it called? It's Anti's something at the end.
Anti's Choice.
Anti's Choice. But what was it before? The Anti's was something. It wasn't Anti's Choice before.
No,
Spacer's Choice. Spacer's Choice something.
I don't remember but yeah, they merged together, and that's like at the beginning of the game. They explain that they fought a war, and literally they merged after the war. And then another thing, I think the coolest faction, and the one that really makes you think a lot, because I think they did a really good job of setting the kind of like the groundwork with their ideas of capitalism is pretty extreme, and this maybe could be where it goes at some point in time. But there is another group called the Protectorate, and they are basically, or excuse me, the Order. The Order is what they're called, and they are these religious zealots, but they are not attached to like a deity. They're attached to science and math.
Cool.
And that's their god, right? And so you recruit one character from that faction, and she will just like, she's hilarious. She's an assassin, but she calculates all of her kills and her assassinations on a mathematical equation, because they're just so dogmatic when it comes to science. And it makes you think, because you're like, for me as like a non-religious person, I look at it and be like, this is ridiculous. But then they kind of flip it on its head, and it's like these people that are so dogmatic with science and that's their religion are almost just as annoying.
Sure.
And I think it's a brilliant idea, and really makes you kind of think, right? They're cool. The part in the story that I'm on the planet where they are all at, and it's been really interesting kind of messing around with like the story and some of the characters in that, because they're just so staunchly fucking annoying when it comes to like these objectable facts, science and mathematics, but it's almost not any less annoying when it's applied to that extreme that some people might apply to like religion, right?
Sure.
And so
theology,
so it's fascinating, and I think it's a really well done aspect. So really love all of the things that they're doing with the story. Gameplay wise, when we're talking about combat I think was okay in the first game. It was serviceable and fine. It's better here. Like the gunplay is better here. You have more options at your disposal. There's a pretty robust like mod system that you can attach modifications to your weapons and your armor and things like that. And they changed the functionality of weapons drastically. You can also do those modifications on legendary pieces of equipment as well.
That's cool.
Which is cool. Sometimes you might have some restrictions, but there are certain legendary weapons that you can just go and craft a mod, and if it fits that weapon, you can just plug it in and kind of change it and make it more the way you want it to be, which I really appreciate. Yeah, the gunplay, is it, you know, I've been playing a lot of Battlefield 6. Is it Battlefield 6 levels of gunplay?
Of course not.
Of course not. It's not. But it's still very good and serviceable. I think it's a lot better than the first game, and it just feels really good. I think it's a good amount of challenge as well, even at the base level of difficulty on normal. You know, I'm not breezing through encounters, but I'm also not like getting my ass kicked every, you know, where I go. So just across the board, like I said when we first started talking about this, I just think that this is how you do a sequel. It's bigger, it's better. You've retained a lot of what made the first game great, and you've kind of evolved it and made it even better. And I was really worried about it after playing Avowed. And, you know, there were some people in the games media that were not a big fan of this game that were like, Obsidian's just cooked. And I would argue Obsidian is not cooked. Obsidian is still, I mean, everybody else has kind of fallen to the wayside in this genre of game. And I think that they're the gold standard for this type of game.
For sure. Avowed wasn't a poorly made game.
I'm not saying it is.
It just didn't land, right? Like,
well, and there's
like, and I don't know. I'm just trying to think, like, obviously it's completely different. You would hope. I mean, they're just too big. Like, Avowed being good or bad really can't. I don't know how that would impact Outer Worlds being good or bad, unless there's a fundamental change within the whole company.
Well, if you are of the opinion that both of their last games are not great, then
sure,
it's an easy, you know, kind of thing to say.
But right now you're in the position of, well, I'm going to be nervous when the Avowed team makes another game, and I'm going to be super excited when the Outer Worlds team makes a new game.
Exactly. Yes. Big fan of this thing. I don't know how it's not on my game of the year list somewhere. I've had a great time with it. I'm definitely going to finish it. Hopefully by the time we record next, I have wrapped it up and have some final thoughts on it. But yeah, man, I really don't have a lot of negatives to talk about. One of the things that I would say that annoys me is I do like the mod system, but it's spoon fed to you in a way that is not the way I would like it to be. You have to have blueprints you got to find the blueprint, and then you can craft, or you can go and outright buy the blueprints. And some of that's my fault, and that's something that we should talk about. But like throughout the game, as you do different things, and this was the way that it was in the first game as well, but there are certain, so say if you're using a lot of health regeneration, the game will pop up and be like, hey, you use a lot of health regeneration. So here's this perk that is going to have 2 negatives and 1 positive, right? And something that you really enjoy. Well, we were talking about Hades 2 and like not the underworld, but the one Chaos, where she gives you like, you've got to do X amount of things for these rooms, and then we give you like a
risk reward type.
Exactly. This is what it does. But these modifiers are for the entire game. Right. And so once you set it up, you kind of just like, well, I got to deal with this. And most of them I have just been like, no. But one that I have actually, I think it's the only one that I've accepted was the game or there was like a screen that popped up and said, you're pretty undisciplined with money. And so if you accept this perk, it's going to bank like 90% of all of the money that you make, but you're also going to accrue interest at 10% on all of that money. And at level 30, you get a lump sum payout. So I have literally, and I accepted that one. So I'm broke as a fucking joke, and I think I'm level 20. So I've got 10 more levels. Like, but as soon as I hit level 30, I'm going to be so fucking rich. And then, it's been kind of difficult for me just with cash.
Sure.
So like a lot of those mods and things like that, if I'm not finding a vendor that's got the outright blueprint that's going to allow me to just craft mods over and over again, most of the mods are that I haven't found like a good vendor that's like, here's a bunch of mods that you can just buy and have. Like the blueprints, I should say. It's just like, here is the one-time use mods.
Yeah.
And so that's probably by my own decision that it's made that like a little bit more difficult. But there are times where I get a new gun. There's a lot of guns in this game as well. And it's weird the way it works too. This is one thing I will say is like in Skyrim or something like that, you go into like a Jarl's house and he's got like a sweet ass weapon under like a pane of glass. And you're like, oh God, I can easily go get that shit. I'm just gonna wait till he falls asleep or bonk him over the head and fucking steal that shit, you know? In this, it's like, depending on where you're at in the game, it seems like the game is like, these are the 15 or 20 weapons that you have at your disposal at this point. And then when you move further, then it's like, okay, here's more weapons that unlock. And so I have like a lot of really cool weapons, but also I think that I kind of shot myself in the foot with this, like, save all my bits and fucking give me all this interest. I'm going to be blown away by how it's got to be millions and millions.
See what the number is?
Well, it tells you, no, you can't see how much you banked, at least any way that I found, but it tells you like, this is how many bits you got for whatever it is that you did. These are how many we banked, and these are how many that you get right now. And it's extraordinarily small.
Pretty cool. I like it. I like the mechanic. I like it's an absolute game-changing mechanic.
Yeah, it's gonna be so great. I think 30 is the level cap. So,
oh shit, you guys.
But it's got to be millions and millions by the time I'm done, and then I'm just going to be able to buy everything. And the way that I thought about it too is like, I scour these environments and do literally everything. So I'm sure there's going to be stuff that I can do, and that last little bit of gameplay is going to be fucking wild because I'm going to be rich as fucking shit and can buy whatever I want and kit my character out to the gills and just wreck everything.
I'm excited to hear about the conclusion to this story.
But high recommend for this thing. It's on Game Pass, obviously, and it's great, dude.
Fantastic.
Really enjoy it.
Fantastic. We're gonna take a quick break. We'll come back, talk some Pokemon, some Final Fantasy Tactics, probably something else. All right, we're back. Still sampling the Redwood Empire.
What's this one called?
Whiskey. This is the Grizzly Beast. Straight bourbon whiskey.
Yeah. This one's a bottle and bond. So I do like the tree facts on these. So the last one we tried was the Devil's Tower. And let's see how big this one's 350 feet, 2,000 years old.
Oh yeah.
This one, the first one was 350 feet and 2,000 years old. How big is that one?
Well, it's not. It's the name Grizzly Beast is a combination of two trees.
Oh,
the Grizzly Giant Sequoia in Yosemite that has over 2 billion leaves. Motherfuckers out there counting leaves.
That's a fucking lot of leaves, man.
The Matoli Beast, a massive 375-foot coastal redwood. It's a lot of leaves.
When was the last time you were at Redwood National?
I haven't done a lot. We've only gone through like John Muir, just above San Francisco, and then really that's it.
They're unbelievable.
Oh yeah, it's really something to see.
It's like some Jurassic Park shit.
You're just like, oh, this is. Didn't realize this was a thing. I thought this was just in movies.
They fucking cut holes through them, and you drive through the trees.
It's incredible. Yeah,
they are beautiful, and I mean, it's just such a cool. I mean, it's just so unbelievable that they're just there and thousands of years old. I mean, it's so cool.
I've always wanted to plant one in my backyard, just to like get it going. Right? It's got to start somewhere, and then like a couple hundred years later, they're like, yeah. It's a crazy story, in the middle of this neighborhood, this dude just planted a redwood and like helped it grow, and then the community all came around it, and now
It destroyed this dude's house,
and then
but
in the middle of this nice neighborhood, there's just a redwood tree shooting up 300 feet.
yeah,
That'll leave my mark, Jared.
just insane. Such a cool thing that we have in North America. Real cool. And anybody on the East Coast or in the South or Midwest, like, gotta go check it out, man. It's pretty fucking cool.
This is very good. I'll take the Devil's Tower still.
Yeah. Are you sure you don't want the Foggy Burl?
No, you can have that one, or we can just make cocktails out of it. Whatever you want to do.
Okay, I think it would be pretty good with cocktails, and I'm actually pretty happy about this because I do like this Grizzly Beast. I think this is a fantastic little bottle and bond, but it's not it's just a standard bourbon. It's good. It's really good, but I think the Devil's Tower, that thing is doing enough unique shit that it's a good one to have on the shelf. So enjoy.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you. I haven't bought a lot of whiskey lately, so put it up there. I've been trying to just remove. I've just been like looking at the cabinet and looking at like my random mixers and things. Just been trying to and I made a lot of progress. Like it was just bursting at the seams a few months ago, and now I'm like, I actually have a room. If I buy a bottle, like I can go put it in there. So that's good. Just progress.
Definitely.
I picked up Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster. I think that's what we'll call this, I guess.
Is that the name of it?
Final Fantasy Tactics? Yes.
No, I know I know it's Final Fantasy Tactics, but I'm saying like the other portion of the name.
It's not
Hold please.
to bring Evilise into it.
God damn it, I'm really slow. Maybe it's because I've had bourbon. The Evilise Chronicles, yes.
Okay.
Which is it's interesting that the Final Fantasy series as a whole, most of the time each story or game is like self-contained, and there's fucking 3 that I can think of off the top of my head. Final Fantasy Tactics, the one on the Game Boy Advanced, Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced, I believe, is also Evilise. And then 12. Yeah.
12 is set in Evilise,
which is such a fucking good game. Zodiac, at least, is fucking incredible.
I never finished it, and this game actually makes me want to go and finish that one.
Did you play Zodiac at all?
I did. I didn't finish it.
God, it's so good.
I really liked what it did, and with its, I don't know what you want to call that Zodiac system where you're not playing it a little bit because you're giving all the directions. It's very cool.
Well, it just takes the guardrails off of what character can be what, which is the biggest thing
for sure.
Right.
Pretty cool. So I picked this up. I really want to get through it because I have a history with Final Fantasy Tactics. Before I moved into this house, there was a 2 to 3 week period that I moved into my parents' house as we were between the renter going into my previous one. So I didn't have my consoles or anything. I was like, what am I going to do? So at that time, I'd been playing a lot of retro games. So I picked up Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions, which we should talk a little bit about, but on the phone. Literally my first
that was on the PSP, right?
Well,
like originally.
Yes. It's all still the same game. It's just War of the Lions has more content and it was made by a different team. And it is generally held as like the one. It's actually controversial that this version does not have some of the content from War of the Lions, and people don't like that. I don't have a big opinion on it because I haven't finished either one, but I played it on my phone, which was a terrible experience, but I had a lot of fun just because it is still a good game. And the narrative grabbed me pretty well, and I played a good amount of it. And then once I moved into my house, I was like, fuck this. Absolutely not. We're not going to continue this phone stuff. So then fast forward to this, and I was like, yeah, I know I generally liked what that thing was offering. So I picked this up on the Switch. All of that's great. Just been playing it 100% handheld. I mean, it's kind of a known quantity as far as like what this is, as far as the job systems. But there's a reason that people highly regard this thing because it holds up. It's very good. Like it's a lot of fun. and going through and looking at all the different jobs, what you can unlock, and then bring them into your new character, even though you're like a wizard, and then you got to go be a knight for a second, because you're going to get a skill that is going to be fucking awesome when you come back to like a black mage. That shit's real good, and it is addictive as fuck.
Yeah, I listened to the Nextlander podcast a number of weeks ago, and they had Austin Walker as a guest.
He probably fucking loves this game.
No, he's a diehard fan of it, and listening to him, I think either Brad or Alex was out, so whoever the two guys had him on to talk about it, and he talked about just his history with the original game and the War of the Lions, and then this remake, and the amount of knowledge that dude has surrounding this game. It kind of blew my mind, just the complexity and the depth of this thing, because I played a good amount of the Game Boy Advance and tactics game, and I think that's maybe one of the best tactics games that I've ever played, and that certainly has got a lot of depth and is an interesting title, but like I don't remember it being as complex as the way that he described this thing. There is just so many complexities and nuances that you needed to take into consideration to be successful, and I actually love that. I think that's great, especially as like an adult that wants a little bit more meat on the bones when it comes to these types of things.
It seems like there's a lot here. I've played it I've played it a lot. I'm not particularly far. I don't actually know how many chapters there are in the game, but like I did bump it up on the high, so I'm on like the tactician difficulty. And I would caution that that's maybe not for everybody. It does require some grinding, but that grinding requires you to get better at the game and to learn a little more about the job system. So I think it's a positive experience to be like, this isn't working, and then to go back to the drawing board. And I haven't really used any guides or anything yet. At some point I might be like, all right, how do we fucking min-max this shit? But right now I've just had a lot of fun being like, well, let's just like look at all my options here and sending these people to go do new things, and then grinding for not even crazy 20 minutes, something like that. And then I've been able to get through the next kind of like roadblock, and really, really into it, really enjoying the combat. I wish it's a remaster. They made some of the art look better. Like it looks like shit. Like it is what it is, right?
Yeah, Austin was like, it looks much better. So but maybe like it's a different experience for you.
It probably does look much better.
Yeah.
It still looks like shit.
It's just like one of those things where if you have just love and reverence for something and you've just experienced it time and time over and over again, and then there's like a re-release, you're going to notice those things more than somebody that maybe doesn't have as much experience.
And I don't love the chibi art period, or just generally. So like they have these portraits, and you're like, fuck yeah, that dude looks cool. And then they're all just these like doofs that look like they're just like, fucking, are you like, what are you? You just look like a 9-year-old. Like they all kind of look. I don't really like the in-game art style of any of the characters. I'm never just like, fuck yeah, this dude looks dope. But like it is what it is. That's not what grabs me here. What does grab me is the combat has been fantastic, and then the story is very good, and it's very deep, it's very complex, it is very, I don't know what you want to call it, soap opera, Game of Thrones like there's a lot of competing factions, a lot of people betraying you, things like that. And it's a good story. I mean, it absolutely, like, I am here for it. And it's also Final Fantasies can get a bit wordy, and that's not really what this does. It really gets you back into the action pretty quickly. This is a lot of combat in this game, and then the story just keeps shooting itself in. And then a lot of times, like within the battles, they'll have things to chirp at each other about. But you can fast forward that if you want. If you want to, like, say you're retrying a mission or something, you can get through that stuff real quick. You don't have to keep just hammering, like watching all that shit. And I am genuinely like, yeah, this is good. No complaints on the story. It all has voice acting now, and I have really no complaints. I think it's pretty good.
Little aside, I just looked it up because I was just curious who did the art for this game. This is Yoshitaka Amano originally, which obviously, you know, a pretty storied
Sure.
guy. Obviously, the actual like headshot
Sorry.
art, he did all of that originally. And then another aside, Amano, I apparently is a huge fan of Claire Obscure Expedition 33,
Yeah.
and he fucking did some like one-off art for the game,
That's cool.
just for fun, and it's fucking sick. You should
I
go.
bet.
You should go check it out. It's fucking awesome.
That's
It,
pretty
it made
cool.
me so happy because I was just like, God, I love this game so much. And then for like probably the most well-known artist for JRPGs, probably. I mean, maybe you could say Akira Toriyama is close, but Amano, especially
For
in the
sure.
West, is cream of the crop. So it was really cool to see him do some shit. And
That's-
can you
that's pretty
imagine
cool.
being one of those dudes on the Obscure team?
Just like he wants to do what?
And he just is like, hey, from Japan, here's a bunch of fucking art that I did. You guys did a great job with this game. That's got to feel so great, dude.
Oh fuck yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
No, generally I'm just really enjoying myself. I could see it's not disappointment because I think this is a good. It's good that this exists, but the story is good enough that this thing could be blown out to like be far better than this little cube. Like you could really be a what we want to say like a Fire Emblem type where it's just like there's just more. It just looks better across the board. Like bigger environments and just no longer like is as soon as you're into combat you're onto this 20 by 20 square. It's very obvious. But in the same breath I'll be like, I don't necessarily want this is the anti-Fire Emblem when I say that it does story right and then gets you back into combat. It's the anti everything that Fire Emblem has done. I'm just like, I wish Fire Emblem did this.
Well,
I wish that because I've always loved the combat.
sure.
But then lately with the last few releases, it's just like it's taking too fucking long to get to the shit, guys.
Yeah, the most recent ones. I mean, Awakening is my favorite one.
Yeah, but that one didn't have the fucking open. That one was way more like
oh
this.
yeah, no,
That's
absolutely.
the
But what I would say is that at least Final Fantasy Tactics on the GBA, that story is fucking fantastic. And I'm also looking through it with rose-colored glasses.
Sure.
But that's a game that I played multiple times in my life. I played it originally on the GBA, and then my cousin had emulators on like an old Alienware laptop, and he got a new laptop, and he just had all of and like ROMs and emulation was so like new, and at least to me as like a I don't know, like a 12 or 13-year-old,
Sure.
that I was like, can I just take this laptop and play all these like old GBA games on it? And I went back and played Final Fantasy Tactics again on that with some like quality of life improvements of like fast forwarding things and things like that. But that story goes places and is fantastic. The other thing that I would say that kind of differentiates at least my experience with Tactics, and I'm pretty sure it's the same way in this, because again, I have never played this over. But verticality on the maps adds a level of complexity that you do not see in other grid-based tactics games. You really have to consider elevation in these games, whereas like a Fire Emblem or an Advanced Wars, that is not a factor. Being elevated and what that does for whatever unit and whatever you're trying to do is a big part of the Final Fantasy Tactics series and Tactics Ogre for that matter.
That's all,
which is kind of like the progenitor of all of these.
Absolutely, that's all here, and you have to use that to your advantage.
I think that level adds a level of complexity that you do not find in the Fire Emblem games.
It's real good. I like it a lot. The issue is they didn't make it better. So the issue with this is like in Mario 64, when you hit the C button and you move the camera and it moves a certain distance. There's no
Makes that weird.
Whoop, yeah.
Whoop,
But there was no custom moving it. It's going to move 45 degrees to the right.
Sure.
Right.
Unless you're emulating it, and then you can just fucking move that camera around freely.
If you can believe it, when I was 12, I was not emulating it. I was 64 when it came out. But
I'm just saying that we've tweaked that shit.
yeah. But this is the same way. And because of how the map works, there's times where you're just like, this is really fucking hard just to see what's going on. And you can hold the trigger and then it gives you a straight overhead view, but it's not very sasatisfying.
Walker
in the whole thing.
Walker called that out as like the biggest change that made
that you can do the overhead.
Yes.
I mean, it's a big deal because sometimes you literally can't see the block where that you're trying to do it.
Yeah.
So that implementation allows you to finally absolutely make the right decision, which is great. But why didn't you just make it so if I can just control the camera in a not set, degrees that you're going to move it, that would solve a lot of problems, because there's literally 2 buildings. There's a hallway and I'm like, okay, well, I'll go to the left. Whoop. Oh, I can't see. To the right. Whoop. And you're like, well, I need to be like half of what's moving and so to me, I was just like, well, like whatever, it's fine. It's like in the grand scheme of things, it's not a huge criticism, because like I would never be like, this is outrageous. It's just like you did the work, you remade the thing. It would have been nice to have seen this operate a little differently, but generally it's pretty great. Permadeath in this thing for your non-named characters. Named characters are like, well, story characters. They're obviously going to end the mission right away if they die. But the other ones, you can just have some fucking rock stars and you got to go save them. So what happens?
Can you turn it off?
No.
Okay.
But there's a mechanic here. They die. They have 3 hearts. Turn goes by. 2 hearts. Turn goes by, and you got to revive them. So there's
right, but
there's a mechanic to save them, but they can, if you don't get to them and res them, you're gonna want to restart that mission if it's a rock star.
Isn't it though? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that this is what Walker said, is that you have to, like for Phoenix Downs, for instance, you have to train a specific unit on the use of a Phoenix Down, so not every unit can just go and revive someone.
So for sure, and if you are using,
which adds another level of like, holy shit, this is brutal.
And that's where it gets really deep, because it's not that you're training them to use a Phoenix Down. That's easy enough, and it's not an enormous amount of work to do that. But that means you are choosing one of their slots is that they can use items. You're making the choice that they can use items. The real reason that some of your guys don't use Phoenix Downs is that you set them into battle with no ability to use an item because you use something else in that slot.
Right.
And that's where the give and take goes, because you're deciding, well, who's even walking into the battle with the ability to use Phoenix Downs?
How many units per encounter can you have?
So it's going to change. Like a side mission, or like if I'm grinding, it's going to be I get to pick 5. But like sometimes story missions will cut that down to 4. I haven't seen any less than 4. It'll cut down to 4 because you've got guest characters. You've got other people
that you can control, or does the CPU control it?
You control them. It's absolutely terrible when you don't control them.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like a staple of.
There are some times when you
grid-based tactics.
There are some times when you don't control them, and it's infuriating.
Yeah,
because they just run into the shit, and you're like, well,
that's all of these.
You're just like, you can't. If you die and I don't revive you, then it restarts, and you seem to have really no attachment to living.
Right.
You didn't play this straight.
I think,
my man.
I think, well, before we get off on a tangent here, is there anything else you want to say about this?
No, it's great that it exists, because I think that it holds up.
Yeah,
it absolutely holds up, as long as you don't mind just kind of how it looks generally.
Yeah.
Like, this story is fantastic, and the combat system is very good. Very, very good.
I used to go to like Walmart with my mom when I was a kid, and would always go to the video game section and find like the cheapest video games, because we were balling on a budget, like the greatest hits or whatever, the green label PlayStation games or any equivalent, whatever platform I had.
Shit.
Yeah, but Final Fantasy Tactics was always for a long period of time, like greatest hits. And it was like at the time, I think it was like 10 or $15. And I always pass it up. And
rough.
and I don't know why, because the original art on the PlayStation was dope, because it's just these dudes on chocobos like riding through water, and the camera perspective is like face down as they're coming towards you on the box art. And I look at that box art now and I'm like, that shit is dope. And I wish I could go back in time and be like,
This one.
show up in the DeLorean and be like, psh, psh, what are you doing, motherfucker? What, Glover? You want to buy Glover? Iggy's Wrecking Balls? Fucking buy this, you dumb fuck.
Clay fighters.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, no, absolutely. I absolutely had Clay Fighters 63 and the third. And we're getting off on a big tangent here. But you know that Sculptor's Cut?
Yes, yeah.
Clay Fighters 63 and the third, which was a Nintendo 64 release. But there is a version called Sculptor's Cut that was released only at Blockbuster, and that game is terrible. It's also kind of racist in a lot of ways, but
Okay.
there are like some very like racial stereotypes in that game when I think back, because I played a lot of that game. Because you played what you could afford back then.
I played a good amount of Clay Fighters. I remember being entertained. I wonder if it's probably bad.
But so Clay Fighter 63 and the third, the Sculptor's Cut was a Blockbuster exclusive, and it had like a couple other characters and things like that. And like you could just go and buy it, you know, at Blockbuster if it was like in the discount bin. But that is one of the most valuable N64 carts.
No.
It's worth thousands now just for the cart. If you like, I don't even know if anyone has it like in box,
because there weren't very many because of how it was sold.
Yeah, and that game is terrible. But anyways,
crazy.
What I was gonna say, like before we got off on this tangent, like the tangent of the tangent, is how do we? You know, I look at the formula and I love the formula. I love these tactics games. I always have, and I probably always will. These grid-based tactics games specifically. But how do we evolve the formula? Because what we have done, or what the industry has done, and I mean, really, there isn't a lot of examples other than Fire Emblem in recent memory. And another Fire Emblem was just announced, you know, a couple of months ago. So we got that coming down the pipeline. But like what they've done is like, let's take all of the things that aren't tactics based and make those more robust.
They've done the social aspect.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. I do think in the case of Three Horses, it's bad. And I know it was a joke. That's a deep cut for all of our long time listeners. But yeah, with Three Houses, like their solution to that was just like take away, or let's evolve things that are not central to the overall gameplay. And I feel like we've got to figure out a way to evolve the gameplay. And how do you do that? Like, what would you want?
Yeah, because Fire Emblem hasn't. Although,
but what is there now?
That's the problem, is that the gameplay has never been the problem. I understand that you're asking like, how do we keep pushing it forward? Surely
there's got to be something that they can do to make like evolve that formula, though. You know what I mean?
I think they should really double down on the fucking and the children from the future. They never should have abandoned that.
Yeah, but that doesn't. I agree with you. That's the best mechanic. That's fantastic.
I think it should go further though, because the way they did it is generally all the people coming back were named characters. Like I think Lucina was one that came back, and it was like, oh, this is like an important character in here, right? But I think that you like Pokemon the shit out of it. Like if you make it so you're just like, well, yeah, but like if that bro hooks up with that dude, you're gonna get something incredible. And maybe that's a way to add a lot of depth into how to make unique characters.
Okay.
By fucking all these people. And then that plays into that social aspect that they already want to do.
Yeah.
So like, because Awakening didn't do that. Awakening sent you back some badasses, but you were never, unless I'm vastly misremembering my playthrough on the 3DS, you were not trying to be like, well, these two people are going to make something cool. So
Well, there was a little bit of that with Awakening for sure, but it wasn't. I mean, when we're talking about the depth and complexity of like the Pokemon breeding system, it was not that. No.
So that's an option, but
That's not a good option because believe me, I'm like a fucking scientist when it comes to Pokemon breeding. We don't want that. You don't want that. You think you want that, but when you got to pull up a fucking spreadsheet to figure out all of this shit, maybe you're weird and like that kind of shit. So maybe you'd be into that. Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted your opinion on it. I don't know if I don't disagree with that, but I think that that's more of a limited kind of way of looking at how you evolve the grid-based tactics. I'm more talking about something that's more
drastic,
but
still some sort of turn-based thing that is changing the game, changing our grid-based, just how we envision it right now.
I think a good thing to talk about when we're talking about this is maybe more control over the granular battles. And a good example of that is like the Total War series, where you have like this grand strategy, you're like taking over settlements and different parts of the continent. But then when you get into these battles, it kind of is very similar, but like on a broader scale, where you've got an army against another army, but then there's like so many options at your disposal when you're in those combat scenarios. And is that the solution, where you take that grid-based combat system, and then when your unit runs into another unit, there's just more options available to you during that combat scenario? I think that that's probably what it is.
Maybe.
You know what I'm saying?
Kind of.
Are you on board?
I don't know if I'm on board, because I don't really, I never really thought that Total War combat was, I didn't really particularly like grabbing like 900 archers and marching them. It was fine.
Yeah, I think that you need to play more Total War.
I just my issue.
If
with,
you're playing,
my issue with it is that
if you're like, I'm just getting a Pyrrhic victory over and over again
with Total War, my issue was it would be like it's going to be close, or it's going to be like you're going to get fucked up.
Yeah, it's going to be a Pyrrhic victory.
So it's like, hey, they're going to absolutely murder you, and I was like, well, let me have a shot at it. So then I would go in there and play like the biggest fucking coward and like pull it off after like an hour of not very fun gameplay, because of what I was doing wasn't necessarily like, oh, he's a strategic mastermind. It was like the world's biggest coward just killed you because he hit his people.
I see what you're saying, but also what I would say as a counter to that is I've watched a lot of people that are much better at those games than we are, and playing at a much higher difficulty level, where you can't just go in and be like Pyrrhic victory, which little aside, I didn't know what a Pyrrhic victory was until I got really into the Total War series, and that's not a good thing. I was like, it's a victory is a victory, and it's just like, yeah, but you're demolishing and depleting your armies by getting Pyrrhic victories. You want like a dominant win.
I think Fire Emblem as it stands now is already better combat than Total War. That's my issue.
I'm not arguing that, okay. But what I'm saying is, if you implement more nuance and dynamics into because what I would argue is that it's like we've already met our like the ultimate when it comes to that kind of combat.
Oh, like, and there's so many, and they're all really good.
Exactly.
We keep playing them, and it's like, yeah, they've really refined this formula.
Yeah,
so what
the best example is Unicorn Chronicles, in my opinion, of that kind of like set it and forget it combat where you just
That's
run.
Not the name. Unicorn Overlord.
Unicorn Overlord. Thank you. Not Chronicles.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Triangle strategy. Unicorn Overlord. I'm trying to like.
Yeah.
Learn how to name some shit.
There was also Diofield Chronicles.
Oh yeah, there you go.
This is not our fault. They just need to come up with better fucking names.
They need to just stop.
But no, I mean, leave it to Vanillaware to figure that shit out, and they did. And they took a lot of that same kind of vibe of Fire Emblem, and also the set it and forget it combat, where you just watch like your guy on a horse run into like an archer and just demolish them. Like that all works. That triangle of like
that's
weakness effect. That I'm not saying get rid of that, but how do you make that better? I think that should be the goal for what they do with the next Fire Emblem, and we're not going to get that at all.
No way.
It's gonna be more like, hey, you want to go and give this bitch some ice cream? And it's like, not really.
But we are in the minority on that.
I know.
Like we're just
I know.
not like
I know.
like we are not preaching to the choir. We're just the dudes that are like, yeah, we don't really like that. And literally the overwhelming sentiment regarding Fire Emblem is that it's heading in the right direction. So why would they change course?
I think that the last game was better than Three Houses for sure. I think it was better, but it cut out a lot. It cut off a lot of the fat that was there.
Sure.
But it still was not Awakening, and I don't know if you'll ever get another Awakening. You know, like I just don't, and I hope that you do. Also, before we talk about
probably not, Awakening was really good.
Also, we got to talk about this really quickly, and this is completely different. But people have been getting previews of Metroid Prime 4, and
I've been seeing them.
There is a sidekick that
people are mad about the
and people are real pissed off about it.
People are really worried, and I'm not particularly worried about that. I think that's
I listened to the sidekick and I thought that he sounded terrible.
I think we're arguing about puddles. Let's get the game and see if that sidekick is throughout the entire Metroid game. Then that's a problem.
Metroid has always been such a solitary franchise. You're Samus and you're by yourself.
But so that sidekick's
outside of Other M, which is terrible as well.
If he's at the beginning and then he shows up at different set points or something, and hopefully they have not lost course on the value of the solitary experience. Obviously, that's very important. If they have, then yeah, they're in a lot of trouble.
It's coming out next month, early next month, the 4th.
I bet they have it, though. We'll see. We will see. So we're going long.
That's fine. We've been off for a while, Nick.
There's no director here. And we haven't talked about Pokemon for a while. You put it on the list.
Yeah.
I can't imagine you have anything. You have not. I mean, there's not. The few times that there has been positivity from you about Pokemon, I feel like you've then pulled it back later. So like in the grand scheme of things, I feel like you've generally not been very positive about Pokemon.
No, I don't know if that's necessarily
I thought
true.
Sword and Shield, you ended up like, I thought that you were higher at first, and then
definitely with Sword and Shield. But we've also talked,
and then there was something that came out after you're like, fuck that. Nope, unacceptable.
But we also talked about Scarlet and Violet on this podcast, and I liked Scarlet and Violet a lot more than I did Sword and Shield. The only downside was that the hardware on the Switch was just not up to snuff. I thought that Scarlet and Violet was a pretty solid game. The DLC was not
just
great.
sucked to play because it didn't.
Yeah, it didn't run well. And it was a really big bummer. I mean, like sub 30 frames a second in certain moments.
So in the world of Pokemon, I'm going to butcher this name because I've not been. Is it Z-Day Legends? Is that right? Is that what
not Z-Day? It's just ZA.
Okay. Wow. All right.
So this is
this is not a normal Pokemon. This is the Arceus spin-off type deal, which I've played a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Just making sure I understand what we're talking about. This is not your normal run-of-the-mill Pokemon bank game.
No.
This is
not. I would say this is not a mainline game.
Sure.
Mainline games would be the last two are Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet.
This is the sequel to Arceus.
Correct. Yeah.
And Arceus was made to be a little more friendly, I guess. I don't know. What do you want to call it? Like,
I think it's just like a completely different take on like taking some elements of what makes Pokemon fun and then putting their own spin on it, right? And the biggest differences are real-time combat in lieu of like turn-based combat. And then also like catching Pokemon is more mechanical here than just selecting like a menu from a menu and throwing a Pokeball. I think like a lot of
There's some
differences
gameplay
there.
involved in it.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the sequel to Arceus. I on the outside looking in, a lot of people that are big Pokemon fans like myself love the Arceus game. I never finished the Arceus game. For one reason, I thought that it also ran poorly on the Switch. Not
Everything ran poorly on the Switch.
towards the end, yeah, absolutely.
Maybe at the beginning. Maybe.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
I
I mean, Breath of the Wild ran pretty great, and that's a seminal.
I don't think it did.
It didn't run poorly. It didn't. I mean, I guess we'd have to go back. I mean, I've got two of them.
One of the frames.
I've got two Switch, and I've also got a physical copy of that game. We can plug it in. And
was 30 frames, and it didn't hold it at all times.
actually, here's the thing: I don't have a physical copy of that game because a family member stole it from me, and I never got it back. So, do you have a physical copy?
Yeah.
Can I have it?
You can have it.
Okay, bring it in here next.
I don't need it.
Thank you. I will take it because it glares at me. At my new place.
Yeah, you need it.
My new place, I have a entire shelf of all of my Switch games displayed, and I've got it in alpha, alphabetical order, and I've got the Tears of the Kingdom, and then I look and I don't have fucking Breath of the Wild.
I'll give it to you for a bottle of whiskey under $100.
We're gonna keep on doing this.
We're just gonna keep going.
That's fine. I think I actually this is good content. This is fun. So yeah, let's keep on doing it.
No, I should be able to find it.
Look hard.
I definitely bought it physical, so I will have it.
Just give me
I'm just saying that
your copy of Earthbound as well, and we'll call it a day.
Even like that one goes to the grave with me. But I just feel like
that goes to your daughter's college fund.
Even like the best performing Switch, like that thing never was firing on all cylinders.
That's fair. Yeah, no, I just was not a huge fan of Arceus. I just didn't like it. I didn't like the Arceus was set in like it was like Edo period Japan, so like everything was really archaic, like the technology.
Sure.
And a lot of people love that setting. I didn't really love it. And then the big problem that I had with it was that the turn-based combat was gone more or less,
which is like your love of the whole series, like
one of my big loves of the series, absolutely. And that didn't it wasn't there, and it like they tried where they're like
it was a hybrid model, right?
Yeah, a little bit for sure. But there are certain moves that have been in the series since the beginning, since like the mid 90s, that they implemented into Arceus, and they just don't work in a real-time combat scenario. They work in a turn-based scenario, but they don't work in real time.
Yeah.
And so that was my big criticism. So not super stoked. You sure you don't want any of this? This is going home.
There's certainly a strategy in me drinking the whiskey I'm not keeping.
Yeah, you should definitely do that. What are you doing? I poured some of that. But that's heads and tails the best thing on the table. So yeah, I was not a huge fan and was not super looking forward to ZA at all. And I put about 15, 20 hours into this thing during trips and things like that, which like that's deep. Like I'm pretty sure it takes just 30 hours to finish. So I'm like closer to the end than the beginning, obviously. And I gotta say, man, like I just feel the exact same way about this thing. I just don't.
No changes.
I just really don't like it. I just like nothing has grabbed me about it. I just want a turn-based combat system, and they've like even upped the ante in this. I will say it runs fucking fantastically on Switch 2.
That's great news.
No, it runs great.
All I want for the next year to year and a half is for Nintendo to release games and eventually a Xenoblade game that I can launch and say this thing fucking runs in an acceptable way.
Won't be a
That's
year, but
that
yes.
that's just what I want for across the board. Like we're gonna play Metroid, and I'm pretty confident because that's a cross release that thing's gonna run well. I just want this stuff to fucking run, and I don't get distracted by the performance of these things, which was absolutely a huge problem on the previous Switch. But is this a surprise though? Because like at the end of the day,
Not really. It was never.
At the end of the day, this is just not for you, right? Because like they're trying to branch out. They're trying to like have a bigger umbrella by making these other types of Pokemon stuff, and it's just like, yeah, this is just never gonna be me.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm at this point. I mean, I'm pushing 40, and so I just have a level of nostalgia and reverence for that original formula, and I think that formula is at a high level fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic, and you really don't need to mess with it, in my opinion. But I understand that you like, as a business, you need to mess with it to bring in new players and keep the well running. But for me, there are just a number of things that I just fundamentally don't enjoy, and it's the same thing with the first game with Arceus, and then when we're talking about ZA, I just don't think the combat's particularly fun. A lot of people that like it are like, "Oh, it's
How is this falling? Like reviews and stuff. Like, where's this?
good."
Thing? Okay,
Yeah, people like it. It's the same thing with
Yeah.
with Arceus. People liked Arceus. I don't like it. I just don't. I don't. It doesn't resonate with me in the way that the turn-based Pokemon games do. I guess to not bash it completely. You know, we already talked about the performance. It runs really great. It looks really nice as well. You know, I mean, they've got billions and billions of dollars to invest into these games, and so from that perspective, it looks great and it runs really well. Some of the decisions they made here are smart, and if it was like we're going back to like Edo Japan and we're doing like this old school, you know, thing, I probably would have passed on it. Surprisingly, I wouldn't have passed on it. I would have bought it still because I'm fucking hopelessly addicted. But
same reason that every Fallout that comes out, I will touch. Right?
Sure,
it's just the same addiction.
Sure,
it's just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
well, it doesn't. Yeah, I wish that the company that's making them is not making them, but I'm just gonna that I.
In the Discord, we did like a top 10, and it wasn't necessarily top 10 games of all time or anything like that. It was like the games that most represent us, and I put Pokemon Red as my number one game for intentionally because
was it 10? Was it 10? We did 5.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Was it? Maybe it was 5.
No,
it was
cool.
10. It was 10. It was 10.
It?
Yeah,
that was interesting.
That was cool
because everyone posted images of basically the games. It was just like, hey, it's not your games like your top 10 list. It's just like whatever.
No,
I thought it was pretty cool to see different what everyone brought in.
We need more people in the Discord to do it. It's fun.
And then I posted shit, and then people were just like, checks out exactly what we would have thought. Like,
yeah.
Well, if you listen to us, that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I mean, Pokemon was just like in the same way that like fighting games were super important to me. Like the Pokemon just made me realize how much I love video games. And those early games were just so basic and not complex at all. And the thing that I'll say about the series as a whole, as I've gotten older, is that there are elements to it that have not aged with me, and I'm like, God damn it, this is so stupid. But the core formula and the combat has aged incredibly well in terms, with me in particular, with like the depth and the complexity when you really get into it and really get deep into breeding and the competitive scene. Like that shit is deep as fuck. And much in the same way that like Smash Brothers was never meant to be this like super competitive thing, and it's involved into this incredibly competitive thing. Pokemon's in this exact same boat, you know. But yeah, so let's talk about this thing a little bit. So the biggest thing with this is it's set in modern times, or the modern era Pokemon. It follows XY timeline, which with most Pokemon games, there's like a hook, right? Like you catch Pokemon, you battle Pokemon, and then there's and I actually appreciate this and like this, depending on the release, but there's always like a combat hook that's going to change the core formula of the game,
Sure.
right? And X and Y introduced Omega Evolutions,
Yeah.
which is heads and tails the best hook that they have rolled out. There's been a lot of misses. Like I think pretty much all of them have been misses besides the Omega Evolutions. And clearly the Pokemon Company and Game Freak and Nintendo as a whole realizes that I'm bleeding.
Sometimes we sustain wounds on the show. We don't have health care. That's the problem.
That's true. It's minor. I'll put some whiskey on it. It'll be fine. With this thing, they clearly realized like everyone's like Omega Evolution is the best thing. So you basically take a Pokemon and you get a stone. So you can't mega evolve every Pokemon, and that's never the way it was. Like in competitive doubles, which is what most people play competitive, where you have 2 Pokemon on the field at one time, you have 1 stone.
Sure.
So you got 1 Pokemon in your team of 6 that you can mega evolve, right? And so that's the complexity.
That's the game.
Yes, exactly. And Mega Evolution obviously beefs up your stats and makes things dynamic from that perspective. So yeah, they're pulling from this like modern aesthetic and modern era. And you're in Lumos City and X and Y. Every Pokemon game is, for the most part, is set in like a real world location, and then they like spin it to be like its own thing. But with Lumos City, it's just Paris, right? That's the city, right? And the problem with this game is you don't go anywhere but the city. You are in the city the entire fucking game.
If you're in Paris, are you supposed to be like, we should leave?
Yeah, I think so.
You're in Paris.
I don't know. Why? I've never been to Paris. Have you?
No, but because I'm here. Once I go to Paris,
no,
you never see me again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it's just great.
Put down roots.
My ex spent a decent amount of time in Paris, and she loves it.
See,
so.
Yeah.
So maybe, but you also have like a lot of people. Like I've also have a lot of people that I know that have been to Paris, and they're like, it's a fucking dog shit place that sucks, and everyone are assholes, and it sucks. So
well, they're definitely assholes.
Yeah.
Weird. That's how that dynamic works. We deserve it more every day.
Right. Yeah. Well, we probably deserve it more than they do at this point in time. But it's a weird game to play decision, and the way that it works in this game is straight up like a core. And even in Arceus was like, go into the tall grass, which we've talked about a lot. Yeah. You got to go to the tall grass to catch Pokemon. All right. And that usually requires you to go out of a town. You don't leave the fucking city ever in this game. So they're like,
someone's got to mow the lawn.
No, they're like, oh, there are these wild areas in the city that are just like taken over by Pokemon. But there are these like restrictive gates, so it just kind of defeats the purpose of this like open, like, I mean, we're talking about like very pseudo open world environment, very archaic open world environments. We're talking about the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance, but like you had a little town that you were in, and there's no Pokemon in that town for the most part. You can't catch Pokemon. You're in a town.
It's kind of weird to have.
There's a fucking gym.
Yeah.
And then it's like, all right, I want to go catch Pokemon. I'm going to take my fucking fishing rod and my bike and get on my bike and roll my ass down into the wild areas, go to the tall grass and, random encounter it and find what I find. But in this, it's like, you pull up a map and it's like, okay, here are the wild environments that you can go into. And then you go to like a gate and you click A and it's like, you want to go in? And it's like, yes. But you're still in the fucking city. But you go into these environments where you can catch Pokemon. I will say there are times where you can catch Pokemon outside of those environments. But for the most part, like you got to go into these like sequestered off areas to catch Pokemon. It just sucks. It sucks. I really think the biggest fault of this game for me is the fact that you've got to just go into these fucking wild environments. It just feels contrived and tacked on. And I think it would have been better if they would have just been like, there are the city, and the city's big. Like I will say that because it's the whole game. You're just in the city, right? So there's a lot of city here, but like just put some environments on the periphery because it's a perfect circle. The city is, right? The Eiffel Tower, the equivalent's in the middle, and then there are like jutting out, parts of the city and there's different districts and things like that. But like just put wild environment around the entire city and let me go out there and catch Pokemon and then come back into the city. It would have been way more satisfying the way that they did it. I just don't like that at all. I think it sucks. I really do think it sucks because it's just weird because it's like fast travel becomes a thing very quickly. And then it's just like, I'm just going to, and there's a list of Pokemon in an environment, which is nice, honestly, to have a list of like, I've already caught this
What's
thing.
here?
Yeah, what's here? But it just doesn't feel quite right. And the fact that you're just in the city the entire time, I think is my biggest criticism of this thing. I don't know. I don't like it at all.
And the reviews of this thing?
The reviews of this thing are good. People like them, like I said before. The other thing that I really don't like about it is just the combat. One of the things here is like the trainer has always been like the trainer doesn't get damaged, right?
Sure.
You're the trainer. The Pokemon gets fucked up.
You're not at risk. It's your slaves. It's your thing. Yeah.
But in this, the trainer absolutely is in danger, and they've got this fucking roll mechanic that you have where you've got to like so you target a Pokemon with your Pokemon, and then you've got the same setup as like any Pokemon game, and you tell the Pokemon once you target the right target, you tell the Pokemon to like execute a move, right? But sometimes whatever Pokemon that you're fighting will aggro you and not your Pokemon. And you've got your own kind of health bar that's not displayed anywhere on the screen. So it's just like very, it's not super clear how much health you have at any given point. The only thing that tells you how much health you have is as you take damage, like this red bar goes around the screen, like the periphery of the screen.
A health bar.
It's not a health bar at all. The Pokemon's got a fucking health bar. Why don't you just give me a health bar if this is the way the game's gonna work? So there have been times where like I just die. My Pokemon's just like, I want to use flamethrower. Let me fucking get in there and scrap, bro. I'm ready for war. And then I just die, and it's like you blacked out and you had to go back to the Pokemon Center, and it's just like, what the fuck is this? This sucks.
I don't know, man. I just feel like I've dodged a bullet by not being in this series.
Being
like,
too old.
I guess like just missing it by 4 years.
You're not too old though.
But like
there are people that I spend a lot of time with in my life that are your exact age that love Pokemon.
I know there's exceptions, but it's just like the vast majority of when you come here and talk about Pokemon is not a positive experience.
Well, here's the thing. here's the thing that I really, really, because like, I like even with I really like Scarlet and Violet for the most part, besides the performance.
Sure.
I like the mechanics that they implemented. But we've got the announcement now for a while.
The next one.
No, it's not even the next one. It's not the mainline game, but Pokemon Champions, which is basically Nintendo and Game Freak's solution for the competitive scene. And that I don't know when that's coming out. I don't think that's got a release date yet. Hopefully it's 2026. That would make sense. But it's basically just taking like, I pay $5 to $10 a year for my bank. So I've got a lot of competitive ready Pokemon.
Something to bring.
It's
that
just competitive
into it.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
There is no story. There is no like catching Pokemon. You know what I mean? It's and it's a smart move from Nintendo's part to be like, okay,
Isn't that what you want?
that's what I want.
Yeah.
Because like I'm still gonna buy the mainline games.
Sure.
And I'm gonna catch all the new Pokemon. How many Pokemon they add? The meta's gonna shift, and then I'm gonna breed those Pokemon
That they show
and
up
make them
in-
great and move them into the bank. And then Champions is here where it's like, this is where you go to go and play competitive Pokemon.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. That's a thing that should exist.
And it's coming. It's coming. And so for me as an adult, that is what is most interesting to me. And it could be very interesting to you. And that's really where I'll be interested because I have just a bank of thousands
Sure.
of Pokemon that are ready to go, ready to fight, right? Good stats,
Sure.
good natures, good breeding, and
Good genes.
Good genes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's like, hey Nick, you want a little team
Let's
to just
do
see
it.
how you
Let's,
fare? And I give you I'll trade you a team and then
me on a path.
you get in because that was always like I know for a fact, like without a doubt, I know that if you wrap your mind around the way that competitive Pokemon works, you will be into it. I know it. But the thing about it is like there's always been this barrier or this
Yeah, to wrap my fucking trike over to all these fucking
yeah
gyms.
no you're just like I don't want to play the story because the stories are not good. I will say this is one thing I will say about ZA. The story and the characters so far I've actually been pretty interested in. They've got like some really cool aesthetics as far as some of the characters, designs, and things like that. And the story is somewhat interesting. They're implementing some new stuff where you're like, okay, this is fine.
Sure.
This is fine. But for you, a person that has never,
Like
messed around with it, I think that Champions is going to be the
Maybe.
perfect opportunity for you because if it's just battling, it's just like you against another person on the internet and you learning how to play the game. Hopefully there's like robust primers and tutorials to get you into it. But at the end of the day, if that's all it is, I would be shocked. I will be significantly shocked if you're still like, I don't like this.
Well, hopefully that's next year maybe, and we can dabble. We can dip our toe.
But at the end of the day, this thing is not for me. I don't like it, and I'm not going to finish it by any means. It's not for me. And I'm sure people out there are like, oh, fucking Jared sucks. He fucking doesn't understand it. And like, if you understand it better than me, please explain to me.
I mean, there are, and maybe that's just our age or our opinions or what it's showing, but we've talked about multiple things on this show where it's just like, yeah, people are super into the direction of Fire Emblem, and it's like, yeah, we're really not. And then this thing with Pokemon, it's like, yeah, people generally like it. It's like
the only thing that I'll say, the only thing I'll say about that is like, this is not the general direction of Pokemon. It just isn't, and I know this will sell well.
It's not the direction. Well. It's a side shoot that it's well received.
There are certain things about it that I think that if you implement it into like a standard Pokemon game will be really good. Like some of the catching features and things like that, sneaking around and catching Pokemon, some of that stuff works. And if you evolve it, could be really cool. This is something we should also talk about really quickly. There was a leak recently that just showed Nintendo's hand, and they are going, like Nintendo always does, going after the leaker aggressively, and he's gonna probably lose everything because Nintendo's really good at that. But mainline games that are going to be released in the next couple of years, and also Nintendo's got plans for an MMO, if you can believe the leaks.
We'll see,
and that could be. I would definitely check out an MMO, but it really depends on how they implement it. But
for sure, good show, fun show, good whiskey. I'm gonna take the Devil's Tower.
They were all this one, the Foggy Burl. Not it's fine. But these two over here, fantastic.
If they're all close to the same price point, then I would say that Foggy is not fine because it does not necessarily stack up. If it's at the same price point as, say, the Devil's Tower, then it's just there's a
same price, a little bit cheaper.
So that's just there's a disparity there that doesn't fully make sense. But
it's just like a limited release. These two guys on the left and the right are like, you get them once a year, and this one is like hard to find bottle.
I like these. I like. We've done a couple of these shows now where we kind of have a.
Are you a fan of Redwood Empire now?
Well, yeah, because
it's good.
Two of these I think are quite good.
Yeah,
and we'll keep my eye out for them. I like these shows where we kind of have an offering. It's kind of a fun thing to do. Easier said than done because you got to get a bunch of bottles, but it's kind of fun.
Can't get any of this in Utah, by the way.
But it's kind of fun to do a sampling of just a distillery's product. So maybe we can
they're doing
continue
good things
to do that in the future. But
yeah.
That is going to do it. That's going to wrap up the Gamescast. If you are enjoying the show, you should come and join the Discord. Look in the show notes. There should be a handy link, or you can go into the bio on YouTube. Any of that will work. That's going to do it. Take it easy, guys.